TGIF, my voiceover friends. How are you doing? Welcome. You made it through another week. Yay. Good for you. Good for me. Good for all of us. And welcome to the live stream and our morning voiceover huddle. So glad you're here. I'm Bill DeWeese, professional voiceover talent, voiceover coach, and voiceover demo producer. If you're new to the channel, of course, would love for you to take a moment to subscribe, like the video, share. And there is lots of content, over 1,000 videos to help you become a better voiceover talent, and ultimately the goal of making more money as a voiceover talent. Man, so many things going on. First of all, I got to say, shout out to my Cincinnati Reds. My goodness sakes, they are on their longest winning streak since 1957. It's before I was born. I mean, it's just hard to believe. And I grew up as a Reds fan. I dreamt of playing for the Reds. I mean, me and every other kid that grew up in Ohio, loving Johnny Bench and Pete Rose and Cesar Geronimo and Lee May and Tony Perez and David Concepcion, all those guys. Man, they were my voiceover, my voiceover. They were my baseball heroes. I had no concept of voiceover at that point in time. I remember as a child, a little boy, and of course, being a Reds fanatic, and me and my buddies would go to the park, which I lived just down the street from. Every day in the summer when we were out of school, we'd be dragging all of our gloves and balls and bats to play baseball. And I collected baseball cards. And I remember at that time, I assume it was Topps baseball cards, but in addition to the cards and the bubble gum, they would have these little patches of the teams, like these little cloth patches with adhesive, you could stick on stuff. Well, I got a Cincinnati Reds patch. I was so excited. I decided to make my own DIY Johnny Bench jersey. So I took a white T-shirt. I put that Reds patch on the side, and my mom let me take a Sharpie. I drew the Reds logo on there and a number 5 and bench on the back. And in my DIY Johnny Bench Cincinnati Reds baseball jersey, that's what I would wear. I probably didn't watch that all summer. I don't remember the specifics, but that's my guess. That's how big of a fan I was. Tonight they take on the Braves to try to, at home here in Cincinnati, to try to lengthen their winning streak to 12. So pretty exciting stuff. Also, we are in the midst of a move back to Illinois. Yeah, we bought a house 3 doors down from my daughter Mallory and her family, and of course they're the owner of my 3 grandkids. So we're going to be next door neighbors with them. And Mallory and Will are coming to our house today, and they're going to tear down my booth and move it back to Illinois and all that kind of stuff. And literally. And by the way, if you're a voiceover blueprint member, if you're in my program, I'll do a little live streaming when they're here. And they can tear this down and pack it up in like 15 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. They've done it so many times and they're so good at it. I just get out of the way because they're just in here zoom, 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 zoom with their little, drill with the screwdriver bit on there. Man, they just have this thing down and gone. And so beginning next week, I will be broadcasting from my, not broadcasting, but, streaming and doing voiceover work from my mother-in-law's home. I've set up my own little recording studio there, and you'll get to see that on Monday's live stream. I'll probably give you a tour of that. That's what I'm thinking. So that's what we'll do. Today is Q&A day. It's Friday. So if you have something on your mind, a question you have, make sure you throw it in the live stream chat along with your name and where you're watching or listening from this morning. We'll do a little roll call, and as questions come up, I'll field as many of those as I can here this morning. And again, glad you're here. Mark in Albuquerque, good morning to you. Hello, Sherry. Hope you're doing well in Amarillo. Rusty in the UP. Good to see you, Rusty. Liz in Illinois. Hey, Rob, what's going on in overcast Loveland? We've got, let's see, Dave in New York City. Here's our first question of the morning. Where should a VO draw the line on lowball pricing from a client just because that's what they paid a previous VO before? And most of us who've done this for a while, I'm sure have come across clients who say, this is the budget, this is my budget, and this is what I'm willing to pay, or this is my budget, and this is what I've paid in the past, and this is what I'm willing to pay you. Well, here's the thing. You've got to make a decision as to what you will work for and what you won't work for. The fact that they may not be willing to pay you or have a history of paying somebody less doesn't necessarily mean they should pay you more just because you want more. Now, what you don't know is what their budget is and remember this, it's all about the client. In other words, what is the value that they get? As a business person, they should be thinking return on investment. If they pay you X amount of dollars, what can they reasonably expect that they're going to get from that work when they use it, whether it's if it's promotional purposes, commercial, whatever the case may be. For some people, they just, smaller businesses, they're not generating a lot of revenue. They may not get a big return on investment out of using your voice over somebody else. So it doesn't make good business sense for them. So I'm not a real big fan of this idea of educating people to pay you for what you're worth or what I'm worth, because really at the end of the day, it has nothing to do with what I'm worth or what you're worth. That's backwards thinking. Again, just backwards thinking. It's what it's worth to them. They have to make that determination, and you have to make the determination of what your time is worth as well. So if the value that you each place on you aligns, it's great. Let's just say, for instance, it's a project that you want to, that you feel your time is worth and talents are worth $300. Well, their budget's $100, regardless of whether you do it or somebody else does it. They've paid that before because they feel that gives them a reasonable return on their investment. It's not worth them to hire you or me to do that if we're not willing to accept $100. And you don't have to accept $100, because if your time is worth if you're making enough money and getting enough clients that your time's worth $300, then it's $300 and you move on. Sometimes you just have to cut the cord and go away. That, by the way, doesn't mean that's not a bad reflection on the client. They've got to do the best with what they've got, and you've got to make a determination of what your value is. And if those don't align, it doesn't make them bad and you good. It just means that they don't align. It doesn't make sense for them, and it doesn't make sense for you. So what you do in that case is you tell them what your rate is. And if they accept it, they do. If they don't, and if you don't have any flexibility, then you walk away. Maybe you can meet them in the middle and say, well, here's my standard rate, what I typically charge. Would you have any flexibility? And if they don't, walk away. That's fine. There's nothing, nothing bad about them or nothing bad about you in that exchange. But always, you have to understand it's going to be they're not going to pay you more than what it's worth to them. Just because your value is $300 for that project, which it may very well be, maybe it's more, doesn't mean it's worth it to them, because they have to determine what their return on that's going to be. So that's business thinking. And I don't know that I've ever heard anybody say that in voiceover. I hear, yeah, of course, all the time in regular, real business, but not in voiceover. So that's just something to chew on and to consider as you negotiate that. Let's see here. Oh, Duxbury, Massachusetts. Good morning. John in West Chicago. Scotty in South Dakota. Corey says, ring the bell. Because his second audiobook just locked it in. That's number 2 after 46 auditions for perspective, #numbers game. That actually, I'm so glad you said that, Corey. So those of you who you've auditioned 5 times or 10 times and you're thinking, well, this is just not working. Keep in mind, Scotty is averaging 23 book auditions per job one. Now, for you, it may take 50. It may take 100. You may get it on your first job. You may end up averaging 1 every 5. Doesn't matter. But Scotty knows, not Scotty, but Corey knows what his numbers are now. Now, over time, through work, training, you can probably even improve that even further to where you're getting 1 out of every 10 jobs or whatever the case may be. But the point is, your number. So now you know that on average, if you want to book another job, count on doing another 23 auditions. And once you start to work those numbers, it's amazing, how much motivation that you'll have, because you know what it takes now. And again, as you continue to hone your skill and get better, you'll be able to lessen the number of auditions to get a job. Of course, there comes a point where it gets harder and harder, as those numbers get smaller and smaller, because you've got to audition to get work. It never becomes one-on-one where you get every job you audition for. It'll never get that low. But, Corey, good for you, man. That's awesome. Congrats. Keep it up. Wade in Philadelphia, good morning. Phil in Tokyo, what's up? Janet in Florida. Good for the Reds. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Let's see here. Sandra in Westerville, Ohio. Wouldn't it be good morning, Sandra. Wouldn't it be wonderful if the Reds not only made it to the playoffs, but went to the National League Championship and the World Series? I know some of you guys could care less, but again, as a rabid Reds fan as a kid, um, I went to I was at the 76 National League playoffs, the Reds in Philadelphia, and it was many, many years ago. And as I remember, I'm pretty sure I was there the game they won, where they wrapped up the series. If not, I mean, my memory, my recollection, it was some sort of a walk-off score. I don't know if it was a home run. I don't know if it was a walk with bases loaded. I don't remember the specifics, but I remember when that last run scored, the stadium, this is old Riverfront, went bonkers. We were all drenched in beer because everybody threw their glasses up in the air, and it was just people hugging, strangers hugging strangers. It was unbelievable. Oh, okay. We've got St. Petersburg, Russia in the house this morning. Good morning to you, Dan. Hey, how are you doing? Dan says weekend plans for me include re-recording my whittled down DIY demo. Dan's in the blueprint and he's been working on that demo. Dan's been working hard. Good for you, Dan. You keep going. And recording my first DIY audiobook demo using my sweet new Adobe Audition preset from Alex. So, Alex, do we set you up, Dan? I'm glad. That's fantastic. Glad to hear you're moving forward. Tim in Salt Lake. Dr. Bob in Clearwater, Florida, where it's raining this morning. Forecast of sunshine in the studio, though. There you go. Thanks for your encouragement to all of us. Oh, thank you, Bob. Appreciate that. All right, Ralph, jumping into to voiceover from Cedar Falls, Iowa. After careful evaluation, I have decided to jump into voiceover, visual impairment and all. Ralph, no, good, and I'm so glad to hear that. Oh my gosh, there are a few people in voiceover who are dealing with the same thing, and I wish I knew them personally that I could share that information. I just don't have that information, but I'm glad you're not allowing that to stop you, nor should you. And again, Ralph, thanks for being here this morning. I appreciate it. Oops, let's see. The live stream chat moved on me. Let me see if I can find where I last was. Okay, here we go. Kenny in West Virginia, good morning. John in Rhinebeck, New York. Kimberly says, how do you think AI will affect this industry? Well, by the way, there's a couple I've talked about this on my channel a number of times. Search AI on this channel if you want something a little more in depth. And I also was a guest on voices.com's podcast Vox Talk with Stephanie Cicerelli, where I talked in depth about it. But I'll just say this: I'm not losing any sleep over it. I mean, I understand. My clients are using AI now, not to replace me, but to use it as a scratch track. I often will get a project where, they'll throw in an AI voice to the video so I can kind of see and hear the pacing they want. But I haven't had a single client yet say that that's what they want to use. It's been just the opposite. Now, it's small sample size, and that's just, my experience. But I can tell you this, and I'm pretty confident in this, that people who are not willing to pay for voiceover, they will use AI. People who are willing to pay next to nothing for voiceover, they will certainly be the early, adopters of AI. How far up the ladder it will go, how many people it will affect, that remains to be seen. But I do not foresee any time in the near future where AI will be a strong replacement for actual humans. Clients obviously make that choice. We can complain and gripe about it all we want. Doesn't really matter because clients, businesses operate as they should in their own best interest to try to generate as much profit as they can, which therefore helps them to survive and helps them keep employees on staff and all of that kind of fun stuff. It's kind of what makes the world go round. It greases the wheels of the economy. But I don't foresee it ever like taking over voiceover in mass. But right now, again, people who aren't paying for voiceover, you know, for them, it's awesome, so we'll see. But nothing in the near future. That's my prediction. Nothing to worry about right now. Let's see here. Dan says, I've seen and read from some YouTube videos that some people in a pinch record in a quiet parked car. Could recording in a car be okay in a pinch while traveling? Yeah, yeah, sure, absolutely. An automobile is one of the best acoustically treated spaces you could possibly work out of. They're made to be quiet. Obviously, cars are not 100% quiet, or you wouldn't hear traffic or other cars, beeping their horns when you're out on the street. However, yes, park your car, pull out your setup. I've known of people to record auditions that way, some to record projects that way. But yeah, yeah, absolutely. By the way, I've never done it, but, not to say that you couldn't do it. Oops, let's see here. Where am I? Jody, hello from West Palm Beach, Florida. Corey, hey, you're very welcome. Aaron and Como, yeah, TGIFTQ as well. Greg in Asheville, North Carolina. Good morning from Keith in Renton, Washington, where the Seahawks work out. Oh, man, that's cool. I used to live where the Chicago Bears work out. Their summer training camp was at Olivet Nazarene University, where I used to work. And it was cool because you would see you could just at lunch break, you could just walk over and watch the Bears practice. And of course, they were all, you go to the Cracker Barrel and, there'd be guys sitting at the table eating next to you, or you go over to TGI Fridays or Applebee's or wherever. I once, driving by Dairy Queen, out eating an ice cream cone. The Bears were everywhere. So it's when you live in that kind of environment, it's fun. It's a fun thing for the community. Wally is listening attentively from Annapolis, Maryland. Well, thanks for listening attentively. I appreciate that. I wish my kids had done more of that when they were small, but did any of us when we were little kids? Not so much. Best part of my morning, love putting you on Bill on my computer, getting ready to record my DIY demo when I get home. Awesome. Any tips? Yeah, I mean, come back to this channel because there's some videos where you can get, some more in-depth information. But start with your commercial demo. That's the main thing. Make it about 60 seconds long. Pick 4 or 5 scripts. You don't need a whole bunch, but make sure they're very diverse in emotion and style, expressing different aspects of your personality. Use real scripts. Go to YouTube, find real commercials, transcribe them. Those will be my quick tips for you this morning. Hey, Jody. Let's see here. Keith. Good morning, Scotty. Any good recommended sources for music beds to produce commercial work? There's quite a bit of free music out there. I mean, if you go to have a YouTube channel, YouTube channels are free. If you have a Google account, you've got basically a YouTube channel. And you have access to a library of music there. If you go to YouTube and search, um, let's see, I'm trying to think, not royalty free. Royalty free doesn't mean you don't have to pay. It means you don't have to pay every time you use it. Copyright free music. There's a lot of copyright free music that you can pull off of there as well. And also, if you have a program like, GarageBand, if you have a Mac, there's a lot of built-in like music loops and that kind of stuff. Yeah, so there's that, and that's just the free stuff. But there's a lot of good free stuff out there. Hey, Wayne, for people looking to become voice actors, would you recommend taking voiceover classes or can you self-teach yourself? Man, I tell you what, the thing that I mean, you can learn a lot on your own, but here's the thing. It's like trying to be your own therapist. Nobody can be their own therapist. We don't hear ourselves the way other people hear us, and we don't have complete perspective on what it is. And that's why I'm always pushing you guys to get in my voiceover blueprint program, because that is a live training program, live daily sessions in addition to on-demand content and a private Facebook group, community, and where you can watch me work and I can show you what I do. So yeah, I mean, if I didn't feel the voiceover training was necessary, I wouldn't mess with that. But yes, it is necessary. Again, not that you can't learn a lot of stuff, you can, but you're gonna spend so much time and energy and even money until you focus in and you get into a good coaching program. And so that again is why I'm really pushing you guys to check out the voiceover blueprint. Tess says, does my contact button on my website need to go to a form to be filled out or a generic blank question window? Okay. The QLED test, you don't even have to have a contact button. I mean, you can. I don't. I just have my name, my email address, and my phone number. I would not recommend doing a contact form. I mean, you can. I guess the advantage of a contact form is you can keep people from, skimming your email address online. But that's, I just factor that in. There's hassle with it, but, um, I don't people the less clicking they do, the better. It's just like, "Here's my information. It's right there." You don't have to look for it. You don't have to click anything to go for it. The less clicking, the more likely somebody is to interact with you. So that's why I just like to put it right there for them. That's what I do. Hey, Dave, good morning from KC. Transplanted Buckeye working on editing skills. Godspeed in your travels. Go Reds. All right. Eh, the irony, David Parker wishing the Reds all the best. For those of you who don't, Dave Parker actually used to play for the Reds and the Pittsburgh Pirates. He's in the Hall of Fame. By the way, true story. Very quick here. Dave Parker, the baseball Hall of Fame, Dave Parker was in the same rehab facility my mother-in-law was in just past year. Crazy, right? They were like neighbors side by side. I assume after some sort of surgery or something. Let's see here. Brad Wilson, in Muggy, South Carolina. Steve, hello. Jody, good morning to you. Is there a list where I can find SAG-AFTRA audiobooks to audition for? Um, you might be able to. I don't know if the ACX.com database queries by union or not. It may. You might want to check that out. But you can always reach out to the SAG-AFTRA office. I am not a union member. Um, And, so I honestly don't know, but you could reach out to them. Okay, let's see here. Who else have I not said hi to? I gotta get to work here, guys. I got stuff waiting to be recorded. Let's see. Mike Russell in Tampa, good morning. Christine in Chicagoland. Tim, what's going on? Let's see here. Kimberly, hope you're doing well. JR in Austin. Riley in Paris, Texas. Jack in Phoenix. Let's see here. John, how are you doing? Marcus and Shannon, good morning. Hey guys, thanks for being here. Gotta run. I got projects waiting to be recorded, so and a lot going on today. Hope you do too. Have a great day and have a great weekend. I will talk to you Monday live from my temporary studio set up across town. See ya.